I'm going to call the Tipping Common Council meeting to order, beginning with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do have Nate absent on a work trip and Rick Rippey home sick, so we do have quorum though this evening. First item on the agenda are the minutes from the last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, this is the second meeting of the month. We'll begin with the Board of Works and Safety.
Board of Works had a pretty short meeting today. Just a couple of things. Fire Department Chief Bittner reported his two new hires have passed their public safety medical and hopefully get them going full-time in the next couple of weeks. He also shared at DEA inspection that they had some issues with narcotics storage, which they'll have to address. He wasn't sure how that, exactly how they were going to have to do that. He would let us know later. So, Chief Stout said for his opening he had 9 applications. 8 of them showed up, 7 of them passed the physical, and only 3 of them passed the written. But he did ask that we interview the 3 that passed, so he could have one in the queue in case he had another lead. So that pretty much was the Board of Works meeting today.
And I would add something I didn't mention this morning, but when Chief Bittner was talking about the DEA inspection, something we discussed, he and I, was with the public safety project, and I'll get to that in my mayor's update, but maybe the idea of trying to scope some of those improvements into that project, so trying to 2 birds with 1 stone. Moving on to Golf Advisory.
Golf Advisory, we haven't met.
Okay. Solid Waste.
We did meet at 11 o'clock today. Most of it's pretty normally. The total yearly weight, the city had 260.88 recycling tons. The recycling center had 283.67 for a total of 555.55 tons for this year. That was about it. Everything else pretty basic.
Very good. Street Alley and Sidewalk is now on a quarterly basis, so they have not met. Planning Commission.
We had a meeting in this chambers on the 13th at 6 p.m. An appointment was made to the Plat Committee, Mike Conklin. We discussed and reviewed the first draft of the definitions amendment to the City of Tipton zoning ordinance. It'll be spelling out some abbreviations and adding a few definitions. We had a citizen board member stipend discussion, and it's still in the works.
Okay, very good. Utility Board, with Mr. Rippey being absent, their report minutes are in your packet for review. And then nothing further to report on the Mayor's Youth Council. They're continuing to work on projects, so they're still in the infancy on getting those executed. No items under new business or old business. I do have some updates on the Mayor's report. Some projects we've been working on and discussing, so some updates related to baseball. Since securing the funds last December of 2024, we've been working to solicit from various groups their roster sizes, practice schedules, game schedules, and other details. From that, what we did is synthesize that data to understand what is actually the need with respect to not only baseball, but softball and soccer, making it very clear that the priority is still baseball, but as we try to scope what is a more comprehensive solution for this community, brought those groups into this discussion as well as the schools teams as well. So use that data. We have selected an engineering architecture firm. That firm will help us now with that information about the number of fields, create a conceptual plan or idea with some space to figure out how can we now get those fields to fit in that space and what additional space may or may not be required. Assuming that we continue to make progress on this like we've been since December after securing funds, we do expect to have a project in a position to announce or to discuss publicly to start summer. So that's kind of the time frame we're under with the architecture and engineering firm coming on board with the conceptual plan. We think that as long as everything continues to progress as we expect, that by summer we should have a project that we can move forward with, whether that's a phased project or the project in its entirety. We don't quite know at this moment, but we'll know more as we continue on with that project. The public safety building, we've been working with a team to help us to create bid documents and also understanding what our bid strategy is for the project. At first, we weren't quite convinced whether or not we should move forward with just trying to get a general contractor to do the improvements of the facility or if we should actually bid them out individually. We're now in a position we think we understand that or at least have a high degree of confidence, given some conversations we've had with general contractors, that we can move forward with the general contractor bid packet. We are working with Etica Group, who did our feasibility study. We've connected with them again to do some general construction documents. This has helped us understand some very basics that someone might require to actually submit a bid: roof size, window sizes, doorways, those little details that nonetheless need done before we can move on to bidding. We're hoping to have that bid out early March, having those documents completed by the end of this month in preparation for early March. Many may have noticed, especially if you live in the area, that West Street project is kicking off. Today we had a lot of material and equipment get mobilized on site. This is one of the largest infrastructure projects the city and utility have partnered on in the last 12 to 15 years. So I say that to say there's some things that we're going to continue to learn as we do this. The last project of this size was probably Cleveland Street, which I believe happened near 2012, 2013, 14. I will say that the purpose of this project was really to address the stormwater concerns. The bottom two quadrants of the city of Tipton are probably the two worst with respect to drainage because they're nearest the creek. This project helped us to install a stormwater main down West Street south from Madison to South Street into the creek. The idea being in the future, this will allow us to connect some lateral connections from Madison, Adams, Jackson, and South to further alleviate this in the future. In your TMU packet, Matt Smith, who's an engineer for the utility, identifies that the utility has achieved 91% separation in our system because we currently have a combined system with sanitary and stormwater. At a 91% separation rate, that's actually quite good, especially for a rural community, and this project actually helps us to further that strategy further. In conjunction with the stormwater, there's an old water main, as you can imagine, in that area. So we're going to replace the water main in the entirety of that construction area. Some of this infrastructure dates back to the 50s and 60s. I think the newest hydrant, I believe if I'm correct, dates back to the 60s. That would be the newest hydrant along that way. So all that infrastructure will get updated along with the water meter pits, the sewer line connections as they connect in that project area as well. So this is a quite significant project. The project is scheduled to last 90 days, and that's, of course, weather permitting. We got some great weather ahead of us right now, so I expect a lot of work to get accomplished in the next few days. And then we've also communicated twice via letter to those along the project area. In that letter, we addressed trash pickup, recycling pickup, some general FAQs. We even went as far as to tell them that if they've got things coming from Amazon or FedEx, that in the delivery instructions, you may suggest or at least make them aware that it could be challenging to deliver a package to your doorway. So those contacts have been made twice leading up to this project, and I believe we'll get a social media post out if it wasn't made today here in the next few days, just making some broader awareness. So the park master plan, we did hear back from DNR, so they provided us with some comments. This is the typical process. You provide your draft plan in the fall, they provide you some feedback, and then in preparation for your formal submission in April. So we did hear back the comments from DNR I'll be my office, Diana Tomlinson, the park board, Ken Amon as the liaison to the park board. We'll be working in collaboration to get that turned in by April 15th. Some other general updates. I did visit with the Ministerial Association last week, just talk about 2024 initiatives and successes and the 2025 vision and expectations. Read a proclamation to the FFA community breakfast last week, further celebrating FFA week that took place last week. And then the last thing I have for updates is regarding our grant writer. We did have some news last week on 2 successful grant applications. We'll have more information on those in the coming weeks with some more details. So we don't want to talk about specifics quite yet as we understand some timelines and deliverables. But as I was thinking more about our grant writer that we've brought on board, this will account for 3 successful applications. We've got 3 more that are awaiting feedback, whether positive or negative on those applications. 2 more that we're actively working on at the moment for early submission in March, and at least a half a dozen more that are on our short list that we're waiting for application periods to open up. So already making quick work and generating some successes with that initiative with our grant writer. Last thing, that just for general update for SB1, that's Senate Bill 1. I know I communicated with the council last week regarding the impacts of that. It's just going to be something that we're going to have to acknowledge as we move forward with our budget process. At the worst case, initial bill submission or language suggested that the city of Tipton would have an impact of $440,000 to our 2026 budget as a revenue line item. The changed language reduced that to $25,000, which is fantastic. I think with that, the caveat there is the governor has threatened to veto that bill. So just understanding that there's still more to come. That bill has now progressed to the House. We are already going to launch a zero-based budgeting effort for the city of Tipton in preparation for next year. While that now, it was strategic. We're going to try to realign the city's expenditures and budgets to align with our goals and vision. Now it's more turned into a necessity. So we'll continue with those efforts. We've already started, or I've already started discussions with department heads about their 2026 budget, which is, again, almost laughable because it's February of 2025. So taking this very seriously and understanding that we're going to have some reconstructed budgets, that's going to require a lot of work. So thankful for the department heads for their work already, and then we're going to prepare and expect that those budgets will be reconstructed pretty considerably, would be my expectation as we head into the budget season. That concludes my report, and moving on to resolutions and ordinances. First one in your packet, Resolution 2025-01, is a resolution of the City of Tipton Common Council declaring the golf course as surplus and authorizing the sale by sealed bids. As we continue to reorganize the golf course with new staff, one thing we've identified is that the golf cart fleet is in considerable disrepair. We have at least 12 golf carts that are out of commission, and then the way we've just managed the batteries has actually not met manufacturers' expectations. So some of this is rectifying that issue. The only way the golf course can make money is if we have golf carts to actually rent to people while they're out there. So not something we were expecting as we headed into 2025, but nonetheless an issue we hope to rectify with the successful passage of Resolution 2025-01. Questions from the council?
45 ended up being the number.
Correct, yeah, 45. We, in 2011, when we last sold the carts, we had 48. So that was the confusion that I had at the Board of Works.
So we lost 3.
Yeah, we downsized. No, we had 48, so flipped those, bought 45.
Oh, okay.
They're in the creek.
Could be. Could very well be.
Well, I move we approve Resolution 2025-01.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2025-01. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing Resolution 2025-01 signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The next three items are ordinances for second reading. The first is ordinance 2025-01. It's an ordinance amending the text of subdivision control ordinance and use table amendment.
Make a motion to approve 2025-01, amending subdivision control ordinance on the second, final reading.
Second.
Motion and second to approve ordinance 2025-01 on second and final reading. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next ordinance is 2025-02, ordinance amending ordinance 2020-14 to update the schedule of fees for Fairview Cemetery. Again on second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2025-02.
Second.
Motion is seconded to approve ordinance 2025-02 on second and final reading. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Last ordinance is 2025-03. It's an ordinance amending the maximum salaries, wages, and other compensation for police officers, firefighters, and all other employees of the city of Tipton for the year 2025, specifically the clothing allowance for second and final reading.
I make a motion that we accept 2025-03 for the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2025-03 on second and final reading. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next are claims.
Make a motion to approve claims number 178756, or 656, sorry, through 178766, in the amount of $1,234,461.69.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve claims. Any discussion on the claims? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving claims signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Last item on the agenda, petitions, comments, and memorials.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I've been asked several times by several people, the survey that was put out on the Tipton City page, everybody's like, well, there's questions of how the fire department, what they think of how they're doing, the police department, the council, and everybody wants to know why they're not asking about the mayor.
Oh, good question.
Yes.
It wasn't as Ball State, I think this is a survey related to Ball State's comprehensive plan. Just wasn't part of their Qualtrics, I'm guessing a boilerplate survey that they presented. That
There's
was
been several questions.
not an intentional omission, but good question nonetheless.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to let the council know that Wednesday, the community center Boys and Girls Club's having an open house, serving a breakfast, lunch, a small breakfast, lunch, and dinner, inviting the community to come and just a couple of things. Tour the facility, share any ideas that you may have for continued community programs, and see the Boys and Girls Club. And of course, everybody that comes through the door, we're going to ask for money. So that's what nonprofits do.
That's why,
Okay.
that's why everybody's invited.
That's why everybody's invited, yes. Move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor of adjournment signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.